Senator Sullivan, Senator Murkowski, thanks for bringing us together to talk about a crazy policy coming from the Biden administration once again. This one in significant way impacts our country in dramatic and dangerous ways. Kansas, too, is an oil and gas producing state, and I could be here on behalf of the Kansas oil and gas independent producers, and I am. We earn a living in Kansas, and we produce lots of energy from lots of sources, and that energy is creating jobs and helping families and making life better for a lot of Kansans. But it also benefits every Kansan, every American, by the energy that we produce, because it's produced here in the United States, and it's produced in a way that is more affordable than what we would have otherwise. It's also produced in the most environmentally sound way in the world. But I think this week, as we turn our focus and attention to our national security, once again, energy is a significant component about our country's future. As I say, it matters economically, but it matters for our national security, for our defense, for our country's well-being, for our country's future. And it is crazy that we would be encouraging the production of oil and natural gas outside of the United States. It is a terrible decision by the administration to pause on the export of liquefied natural gas. Our allies and friends need the sources that the United States can provide. We can be, we should be the energy leader of the world. But if you focus on national security, Iran is the largest exporter of terrorism in the world. How do they afford to be that? They afford to be that by producing and selling oil. Iran's economy is dependent, 70% of its economy is dependent upon the production and sale of oil exports. Congress has passed law after law, and I read and heard, and the administration, the Biden administration, were going to impose more sanctions on Iran as a result of what happened over the weekend. But the reality is this administration fails to enforce the sanctions that are in place. Bipartisanly, we have put in place sanctions against Iran time and time again, and yet, since the Biden administration took office, Iranian oil exports have increased at alarming rates. Iranian oil production is at a 5-year high, exporting 1.8 million barrels of oil a day. Iran sells 90% of its oil to China at discounted rates, freeing up money, funds for China to seek their aggression in the South China Sea and around the world. Iran and Russia have become allies. As we work to find a path forward to support the Iranians in their defense of their nation, this administration is taking steps to make it easier for Russia to have the resources necessary to continue the fight. When we don't produce, the international price of oil increases and Russia gets more return. Again, we've placed sanctions on Russia, but we can see they've not been fully enforced. If you care about America, if you care about the world, this administration wouldn't be doing the things that it's doing. And Americans ought to say, no thank you, Mr. President. It's time for us to be and to remain that producer of our own energy sources and protect and serve our allies, and most importantly, not reward our enemies. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry. Yeah. Any